Welcome into Sports Talk with Theo Dorsey, South Georgia. Let's talk sports. And as always on this program, we like to not just give you some of that monotony and some of the stuff you get used to, but I want to pull back the curtain on some of these coaches in South Georgia, some of the guys you see with the clipboards on the sidelines. When you're rooting for them or yelling at them, now we get to show you who the man is that you're yelling at. And this week's guest we didn't have to go far for. WALB Studios right here in Albany. So is Monroe High School, and I have with me the head coach of the Monroe Tornadoes, Charles Truitt.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
Yep, and of course your journey didn't start here at Monroe. We'll talk about Monroe, but I like to go up, or as I like to say, through your coaching resume. So let's take a look. Let's dive right into your coaching resume, starting with your very first job at America's High School in 1991. Now, did I get that last date right? Up until about 1997, you were the defensive backs coach?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
A good 6-year-ish run with the Dan Regal era. In 1996, you guys were state's runners-up. What did you learn from that first gig out of college? I'm guessing that was your first coaching gig out of college. What did you learn from that?
Well, it was a situation where I had to learn a lot, you know, just dealing with high school kids. To be honest with you, I started off at the middle school. For 2 years, I learned a lot down at the middle school, and after that, we were brought up and went on here to start coaching varsity football. So it was a trying time, it was a learning time, come out eager to coach, just leaving playing football yourself, and then I come out being able to coach high school kids.
Definitely so. And you said playing football yourself. I skipped over something I like to do. I want to give a little bit of your background. You're from Cottonwood, Alabama. I got that right?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And what do you call it?
The Wood.
The Wood. I like that. I love that.
Yes.
So I like that.
Yes.
And then you made the transition from there. Where'd you go to college at? And then talk about how you kind of learned about the South.
Yes, we had a situation in high school. We were a successful high school program, double-A school in Alabama. I played real good football, but it was a situation where I loved the game, and I knew that once I stopped playing the game, that my love and passion of the game would be able to coach, and when able to leave there and actually had the opportunity to coach high school football. Right,
high school football, and you played nose guard and you played fullback there. Went to Georgia Southwestern?
Yes, yes. In a situation in high school, you know, we played for the state championship in 1984.
Yeah.
Got 6-3 lost the final game. But a situation, learn to expect, but a situation where, you know, we had a chance to excel.
That's right. You got a chance to excel, then you became a coach, and you really started excelling and finding your way. So we talked about being the defensive backs coach at America's High School. Let's take a look at your very next stop there at America's when you became the defensive coordinator, a promotion, as we like to say here. And you were there from 97 to 2001 as the DC, had 2 state titles in 2000 and 2001. Of course, your team pitched a shutout in the 2000 state final. I'm sure you're proud of that.
Yes.
Went undefeated in 2015 and 0, allowed 9.2 points per game. So as we talk about this coaching resume thing, obviously you had a pretty strong resume in your years as a DC.
Yeah, we had some great talent that we really did, Theo. We had some guys, kids that really bought into our program. They would play hard for you. And we had kids that you know, went out to college that was excel, made me as a football coach look real good because they played hard and they were determined not to let a team score. And that shutout in a state final game, you really don't hear that too often. But those kids were determined to stop one of the better running backs in the entire state that year for gaining, you know, breaking a record. So then they was eager to play, and we wound up being fortunate enough to win that football game.
Yeah, that's a big one right there to get the shutout, and then for you to be the defensive coordinator. That you know, people were watching. That's the state final game, and then what happens? You get another job right there in the same town. Now, of course, back then it was America's High School and Sumpter County High School, and that was your very next stop. Your first head coaching job right over at the Crosstown School from 2000 to 2003. In 2 seasons, you went 9-11. The team had gone 0-10 in the previous year, so definitely an improvement when you got there. And then, obviously, after 2003, they would merge with America's High School. But what did you take? I know you talked about all those other coaching jobs in America's. How did you kind of grow and find your way in your first head coaching job?
Well, that was an opportunity. You know, I hated to leave from over there, but it was an opportunity for me to improve my opportunity to become a head football coach. But at the same time, those kids hadn't won a football game in a whole year, and they pretty much hadn't won like 2 football games in 2 years. So those kids were eager to learn. They was eager. We came with a good resume because we had been so fortunate and successful at America. So coming over at Sumpter, those kids bought into what we were doing. They knew us already because we're still in the same city, and they came, they played. You know, we won 4 games the first year, and they wound up winning 6 the following year. So it's a situation where they played well, and we made things happen for them.
You definitely did. I'm sure you learned a lot there, and you took what you learned there at Sumpter County. A vacancy came open at Monroe High School in 2004, and well, that's where you find yourself now. 6 wins in the first 2 seasons, a bit of a rough patch, but then in 2006, the team went 10-2. You win the region championship in your 3rd season as a head coach. What's the biggest progression you felt from those first couple of years to 2006 when you got it together?
Well, it was a little bit different. At Sumpter, in America, so those kids knew us already as coaches, so we had to come in here and the kids had to understand us, to know us. You know, they played hard for us, but it was a situation the first couple of years you had to get your offense and your defensive scheme in, and people realize what your tendencies are and what you like to do. So the first couple of years, but the kids played hard. We was in every ball game that we played, but we weren't fortunate enough to win some games. So it was a time that first year they learned. The second year we got better, went to the playoff our second year here, and in the 3rd year we was actually able to, you know, really turn that corner and to win the region, first region championship into our school history.
Right, and a lot of accomplishments can be defined and are easier for fans to see when they look at wins, playoff appearances, region titles and stuff, but also an accomplishment for a coach is, you know, getting kids to the next level. We talked about this a little bit. You had over 80 kids so far since you've been at Monroe be able to play college football. What does that mean to a guy like you, even because, you know, you went off to college, didn't get a chance to play college football because GSW's program dissolved and whatnot, to be able to deliver that experience to over 80 kids, you know, what does that do for you as a coach?
It's big. You know, we had kids go from anywhere from Georgia Tech to any small college out of Mississippi. But like we tell them all the time, it's just an opportunity. Give you an opportunity not only to play sports, but also to further your education and make a life better for yourself and your family. So, and I guess, you know, if you look back at the reward that you receive from coaching, the main reward you feel is when a kid actually graduates and they go off to college and they come back and they have graduated from college and they're making a good job for themselves and their family.
Definitely a very, very touching experience, I'm sure, for you guys. 2 guys, bring the graphic back up, 2 guys I want to show that went off to not only you know, do well going to college, but also go to the pros. Vantrell McMillan and Ricardo Lockett. A lot of the fans are a little more familiar with Lockett. He's a huge, huge figure here in Albany. He does so much in the community. Not just as a person that shows, you know, hey, you can make it to the NFL, you can win a Super Bowl championship, because he did that with the Seahawks in 2013. But also, I mean, this guy, every time something happens, he's coming back to the city to help out. We've done so many stories with him where he has Ricardo Lockett Day, where he just comes and gives back to the city. For you, when you coached him at Monroe, did you see that in him as a kid? Because as a man, he's obviously panning out well. What did you see in him there?
Well, Ricardo, when we got there, Ricardo probably played about 4 or 5 different positions for us. So we knew he was talented. He went from wide receiver to defensive end to running back, and we knew he had that type of talent. And the great thing about Ricardo, 2 weeks ago, he came back to speak to our kids. We would sort of run for time. We weren't able to speak with him. But every time he comes back in town, he comes back to visit Monroe and give these kids the uplift and the push for them to be able to do the same thing he's doing and even make the opportunity to do better.
Right. I mean, and he's such a, one thing I've noticed about him, he's such an everyman. I mean, when he comes back to the city, as you can see from some of these videos, he's in the crowd watching basketball and football games. He's just amongst the people holding cookouts and whatnot. So it seems like he's really down to earth. You guys did a good job of coaching him there. But can you speak, I mean, we talked about the man. What about the talents? I mean, the guy went to the NFL, had a really good career, a sad ending, but really great talent on the field, right? He
was real good talent. You know, he was a track star and a football player, but you know, he had that ability. We knew he had the capability, and like I said, he was so much talent on our football team. He played a number of positions for us, and being able to take that to the next level from college to pro, and not only be a pro football player, but be a successful pro player when he had an opportunity.
Right. Well, one thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to go to break because I got some trivia. That's the big thing. That's what the people come for, is the trivia. I want to speak briefly about the closure of Albany High School and how that affected your program this year, because obviously that's a pretty big-time program. It was a rivalry. You had 4 schools out here. How many of those players did you get at your school? How many coaches did you get at your school, and how has that affected what you guys are able to do now?
Oh, it was big for us. You know, I really hate that they had to close their school, but by them doing so, we was able to pick up, you know, 7, 8 great kids that playing for us, that starting for us. But in turn, we was able to bring in 3 of their football coaches. Their head football coach that has been with those kids, and it was a big plus. It was able for us to unit together, to gel together, because they're there, they know those kids, and gave us an opportunity to gel with them. So not only did we was able to bring some good players in, but we brought a great staff in, and those guys been working hard for us, and kids are working hard for us, and the sky's the limit for us. It gave us that depth that we need, that we were missing out on.
Right. Well, that's big with Albany High, and I said that was the last thing, but I want to talk about your rivalry record as a head coach. Rivalries here are intense. You got the 3 big schools. Can you guess without you already saw it? Can you guess? Did you know what your record looked like against the rivals?
I really didn't, to be honest with you. That's why I sort of cut my eye because I didn't know exactly what it was. I know we've been semi-successful against teams in the city, but I really didn't know what our record was against those schools.
There you go. If my math is correct, I had to go in and add it up myself, and I was not a mathematician in college. Albany High 6-1, Doherty 7-4, Westover 9-5. 22-10 collectively, and I guess that's why you got the staying power right there in Monroe, right?
Yeah, we want to play with the city, but our goal ultimately is also to be a team that people really recognize in the state. So that's our goal. We fortunate enough, some good football being played here in Albany, but we want to be known as one of these top tier teams that's in AAA, that's in the state of Georgia.
Right. Well, you want to be known as that. I want to be known as the Trivia King. Okay. And next up, after this break, we're going to go at it one-on-one at trivia. Before we go, check out this Play of the Week nominee from Monroe, and we'll see you in a few moments. Welcome back. You're looking good. You know who else is looking good? We are here on Sports Talk. And a week after recovering from Hurricane Irma, we brought in our very special guest, Coach Charles Truitt. And Mike, you went to practice, or you talked to Truitt, and you got some in-depth analysis on him.
Yeah, they actually were out of school, no practice. But I talked to him, learned a little bit about how he's developed over the years.
As the Monroe Tornadoes grind out an early season practice, head coach Charles Truitt watches the team with a careful eye. He's assessing talent, conducting drills, and getting a couple dozen young men equipped to see glory on Friday nights.
In order to be a successful coach, you have to sort of mold your coaching ability to the talent that you have on the football field. So we change from year in and year out based on the players that we have on our football team.
The constant ebbs and flow of talent in different parts of the team, new coaches, new players, and an evolving playbook. Not all coaches would be cheering for that situation, but Truitt says on-field adaptation is key, and that the survival of the fittest in the football world don't only ensure existence, but also success.
So the challenging part is to get those guys in ninth graders to build them up and make sure they're academically eligible, and when they get to the high school level, the reward is being able to, once they get through playing those 4 years with us, we always tell them we want you to be able to move on and have a successful career after you leave us.
And many times that's the case. Moms and dads cheering on their children as they sign college scholarships. These yells of support and delight are one of the main reasons Truitt suits up and puts in the long hours.
You look back and over the years, each and every year you have young men that have went off to school and went off, might didn't go to college, might have went to the military to come back and let you know that, hey, Coach, we appreciate what you did for us. And that goes a long way. If you're able to touch a young man and make his life better for him and his family, it's all worth it.
So every Friday night, Truitt sets out to execute a game plan that ultimately extends far beyond the stadium he's coaching in.
We've learned a lot about Coach Truitt and how he supports his team every season, but let's learn a little bit more about the people who support him day in and day out, his family. Truitt's married to Floya and has 2 sons, Brendan and Brent. Both of his sons also follow in Dad's footsteps, playing football. And Coach has also let us know there's no pets in the household, no furry or scaly creatures running around there. And we have some more fun facts coming up about Coach Truitt later in the show, so you definitely want to stick around for that to catch those. They will not disappoint. But right now, that brings us to the trivia portion of our show. We like to call it Theo versus everybody, because everybody who comes on will take on Theo. So with that being said, welcome, Coach.
Welcome.
And the way it works is you buzz in. The first person to buzz in will get a football if they get the answer correct, and the person at the end with the most footballs ends up winning. All right, easy enough. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right, we're going to start here. Which pro athlete was the only person in history to both hit an MLB home run and score an NFL touchdown in 1 week? Was it Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders?
Deion Sanders.
That's right. You get the first one.
Prime time, baby. Prime time.
Prime time, that's right. Deion Sanders, he did that in 1989.
That's right.
It's still early, though. We got some time here.
That's got
You gotta be quicker than
ready.
Theo's done this before.
Right, that's what, yeah.
All right, number 2. Record-setting field goals have impressed crowds watching amateur and professional football. Which field goal length record is longer? Is it the NCAA or the NFL?
NCAA.
That's correct.
Wow.
It's the NCAA. The record there is 67 yards.
Oh.
That was done 4 different times. The NFL, 64 yards by Matt Prater in 2013.
Yeah, okay.
All right, it's all tied up now. Looking good. I like this. All right, number 3. Which Mountain West NCAA Division I football team plays on a blue field nicknamed the Smurf
Boise
Turf?
State.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I didn't even have to give you the answers.
Statue of Liberty, baby.
Yes, no.
That was an easy enough one, and we'll keep moving on. Now these questions, they're not going to have this or that answers. You're just going to have to buzz in and kind of fill in the blank yourselves.
Okay.
All right, so what is the name of the oldest NFL stadium still in use?
Soldier Field?
No. You can try.
Lambeau Field.
Nope. It actually now is the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
Oh.
Beats out Soldier Field by 1 year.
That's a trick question.
It's a little tricky. It's a little tricky.
Yeah, that's real. I forgot to try.
But hey, you're in the news, so maybe you should be paying attention.
Okay, I got you.
All right, we'll keep moving on. You're still up by 1. It's still a tight match, though. So, which college football team in Georgia is credited with winning the most lopsided victory in college football history?
Georgia Southern.
Nope.
All right. West Georgia.
No. I feel like you're just guessing now.
That was definitely a guess.
That was a tough
man.
question. I'm going to give it to you guys. That's a tough question. It was Georgia Tech. They beat Cumberland. You guys weren't around for this. It was 1916.
Okay.
So they won 222-0.
And they kept playing that game?
Yeah.
Would you have kept playing that game?
No.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure the Cumberland folks were not too happy there. All right, and number 3 here in this type of questions, the NCAA football, how long are the typical halftime breaks supposed to take?
Oh.
I'll give it to you there.
15 minutes.
Oh,
20.
yes.
Oh, let's get it. I know that because I used to do halftime shows.
Oh, man.
All right, and right now that kind of brings us to our halftime. Speaking of, of our trivia right now, Theo's up by 2, but there's still a lot of time left, a lot of questions left. We'll see after the break who will end up on top. Welcome back. We're playing Theo versus everyone. Theo's up by 2 balls here, but we have a lot left here. But time is of the essence, so let's get right into it. Which NFL team name was inspired by an Edgar Allan Poe poem?
Okay. The Raiders?
No.
Packers.
Nope. It was the Ravens. Edgar Allan Poe actually wrote that poem, The Raven. And we'll keep moving on here. No one got that. It's still tight. The next question. Which college is the only one John Heisman coached at that has actually produced a Heisman Trophy winner?
USC.
Nope.
Yale?
Nope. It's Auburn.
Auburn.
We're going to keep moving on.
All right.
This is our last question here. It's a video question. It's also worth 2 points, so you have a chance to tie it up here. Lock down Theo at least.
Yeah.
So which player, and this is a hard one though, which player, coach, and sports writer is considered the father of American football? It's a tough one.
Father of American football.
Let me tell you, it's from the 1800s.
Oh, God.
Credited with creating it.
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't tell you. 1800s?
Yeah.
Something little. I don't know. Let's go. 1800s? I don't have it. What do you got?
Smith. John Smith.
No. That was a good guess.
Did he make up a name?
That was a good guess, but it was Walter Camp, if you ever heard of him.
Oh, the Walter Camp. Okay.
Walter Camp. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of trivia. Coach didn't get him this time, but good sportsmanship.
Good sport.
I like
Good
to
sport
see
here.
it. It was good to have you. All right.
Right. Well, okay. So we'll be right back actually, and when we come back after the break, we'll talk about loyalty, and what that means with Truitt and Monroe. Welcome back to Sports Talk with Theo Dorsey. Again, we have Charles Truitt of the Monroe Tornadoes here in the studios with us. And Coach Truitt, one thing I want to touch on, we spoke about it right before the break, loyalty. Your 14th season with Monroe. What is the benefit as a coach to be able to be here for so long? Do you recognize that guy right there?
Yeah.
What's the benefit as a coach to be at one spot so long? What do you take from that?
Well, and that's the key thing. That's when I interview coach, the main thing I ask them about is being loyal. And we want to be loyal to our program, loyal to the kids, and loyal to our school. So being at a program, I love it, like it, but you also have to be loyal to what you do, and people really depend on that.
Yeah, when you first got to Monroe, did you feel that sense of I like it here and I want to stay here? Did you see yourself being here 14 years from now?
Yeah, I did. When we got here, I felt that it was the sky was the limit for this program. They accepted us when we got here. So, and we've been winning games, and the same thing, even through wins and losses, you have to be accepted, and we feel good and we feel fortunate with the people that we work with, that we work for.
Yeah, definitely so, and I'm sure you've enjoyed the times. I'm sure you got plenty of memories here, and you'll have many years to go as long as you guys keep on beating up on your rivals like that. But yeah, so I appreciate you, Coach. And speaking of beating up on your rivals, sorry for beating up on you on trivia. Maybe maybe in the future we'll have you on again. You'll get us another shot.
Right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Sports Talk with Theo Dorsey. We'll see you next week with another coach and probably another win for me. See you next time.